Indians invade Canada after a perfect homestand to play the Blue Jay Bombers. Toronto leads the major leagues in home runs and runs scored. Danny Salazar will get the first look at the modern-day version of Murderer's Row. The Tribe gets their fourth look at David Price this season, but the first time wearing Jays blue. And he has proven the Price was right since being acquired at the trade deadline. We have a monster matchup between the lines and big news off the field. Next on Sports Time Ohio. Tonight we greet you north of the border from the Rogers Center in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where the Tribe takes on the American League Eastern Division leading Toronto Blue Jays. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. These two teams both have won 8 of their last 10 games. We'll get to the matchup in a moment, but first, the big news of the day in Cleveland. Mark Shapiro announcing that after 24 years, he's leaving the Indians to become team president and CEO here in Toronto.
Yeah, at the end of the season, and Mark started in the minor leagues, was in charge of all the minor leagues, and did a great job of drafting down there, ended up becoming the general manager of the Cleveland Indians, and then going to the presidency for the last few years. And Mark will be missed. He was a very dear friend, and we all wish him the best.
No question about that. Now let's get to tonight's ball game, because it's very important. The Indians, they won 5 straight, a chance to equal their season best in terms of winning streak if they can get the series opener here tonight. It won't be easy, though. The good news for the Indians is offensively, they're scoring more runs. That's because Michael Brantley has been red hot since the All-Star break. But guess what? This Blue Jays team can mash, too.
Well, they can mash, but right now the Indians have played well on the road. They're in a very good place mentally, I think, as a team. And they will be challenged tonight. There's no question about it. But that's when you want to be challenged, is when you're playing well. Michael Brantley has been on fire since the All-Star break. He's done everything in his power. Now, for the other side, the Toronto Blue Jays, you're looking at an MVP candidate, probably the leading contender. This guy has had a spectacular year. He's doing it home run-wise, RBI-wise, extra base hits. He is the spark plug of this team, hitting second. You can see from the break, Brantley hitting .396, which leads the league. On the other hand, Donaldson leads in RBIs. He's got 15 home runs, fourth. But then again, you've got 3 guys on that team right around 30 home runs, so they are awesome as a team offensively.
Let's take a look at tonight's pitching matchup, because that's obviously going to be an important factor in tonight's ball game. Danny Salazar didn't make his last start, was dealing with some sort of illness. Hopefully Salazar can locate his fastball early in counts.
He's going to need everything in his arsenal tonight. He's going to have to pitch him inside and in off the plate and have that changeup working away, especially with runners in scoring position. He's done very well against the East this year, 4-1, 2.14 ERA, but the nemesis for the Indians, David Price, 9-1 in his career, 2-0 this year against the Indians. This guy, good fastball, good slider, and we know he has a good changeup as well. The Indians have not had a lot of luck beating him, so they have their work cut out for him. We just hope Salazar can keep him in the ball game long enough, and maybe something good can come out of it.
Well, the Indians are coming off back-to-back sweeps of opponents at home. Now they'll look to take their show on the road. And it'll be a big crowd here tonight, expecting 40,000 at the Rogers Center. Indians Blue Jays first pitch coming up next. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by WB Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Inside the Rogers Center, the roof is open. It is warm, it's humid. This is a place where normally the ball carries well, and I think with the weather conditions tonight, potentially we could see that here in this game, although that sometimes has a lot to do with the guys chucking it out there.
I'm sure it does.
Indians ready to take their swings against David Price, who has been quite a nemesis for the Indians. Kipnis stands in. Third in the American League in batting average. David Price into the short windup, and we're underway at the Rogers Center. First pitch strike.
Yeah, he has the abbreviated windup there. For a big guy, comes right at you. Fastball, slider, changeup.
Kipnis lifts one to center field, pretty well hit. Pilar racing back, it's over his head. It's off the middle of the fence in left center field, and Jason Kipnis rolls into second base with his 37th double of the year. He trails only Michael Brantley in the doubles category. That ball was really scorched by Kipnis.
Well, Kipnis now 8 for 21 in his career off of Price. That was a ball up in the strike zone. He stayed on it nicely. You can see how the ball carries. That goes off the wall. So Kipnis, good start. Double number 37.
A new career high for Jason Kipnis. So the Indians get their leadoff man in scoring position right away, and now you can look for the bunt from Francisco Lindor. This has been part of his game. He squares, but he bunts it straight back. Lindor with 11 sacrifice bunts, already the most in the American League. The 0-1, he squares, and he bunts it foul. One of the few times we've seen him not be able to get it down in the first two pitches.
You're absolutely right. So now you re-rack it and you go. Let's see, this time he wasn't. It's behind the plate a little bit more, but he's usually automatic with that. So certainly the best bunter on this team. So there's not much you can say. He fouled a couple off. That's all there is to it.
Price taking a long time.
Well, he is one of the slowest working pitchers in all of baseball in between pitches.
Just inside. Lindor playing in just his 68th game of the year with the big league club. But he has had quite an impact on this team.
That 0-2 pitch could be a purpose pitch for his changeup away to try and get him to roll over on it so he doesn't advance the runner.
He does advance the runner, though. He'll at least try for the tag. Not in time. It came out of the glove of Donaldson. And Indians at first and third. I guess on one hand you applaud the effort of Gomes. If Donaldson holds on to it, they probably have him at third.
It's a short hop, I think. You know, that's what you do. You get a little greedy here in the first inning. They've been playing very good defense as a team. You know what? In the first inning here, get your out. Let Price go at it. It was not a good throw. It's short hop.
On the second look, Rick, he never set his feet. He threw off the wrong foot.
That's why the ball didn't get there. So take the out. That to me, that was a little greedy on his part because they've been playing very well. It's a fielder's choice right there, but they do not get an out. So you have first and third. So advantage to the Indians right there.
And Michael Brantley will be the batter. Brantley, second in the American League in batting average, hitting .325. Leading the league with 40 doubles. And a chance for the Indians to strike early. Brantley going to roll over on one to second. Gomes. Does he get the tag? Yes, and they turn the double play.
He's saying he was out of the baseline. That's a mistake there by Lindor, letting him tag him. He should have stopped. And they would not have gotten the double play. They would have got the out, but Brantley would have beat it to first base. So there's another mistake right there. Lindor lets him tag him. At first base, anytime a ball's hit to second base, you cannot let the man tag you and make the throw unless you can knock him out of his, off his feet. See, he's way out of the baseline, not even close. So Goins just goes ahead and makes the throw. So they get the double play, but the run does score.
So no RBI for Michael, but the Indians have a 1-0 lead. Carlos Santana will step in. Price gives up the run, but boy, that's a huge double play for him. You got first and third, nobody out. And as we all know, every pitcher early in a game, that's when they're at their most vulnerable.
Well, he picked up his defense right there. He came in and got inside Brantley.
One ball, one strike. Up and in. Ball to strike.
Change up.
Santana thought it was high, but it's 2-2 now instead of 3-1.
Well, that's about as high as you're going to get a strike called right there on a changeup, and that probably was high.
A foul right back at a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and Santana will regroup.
And why not go back up there? Except this time he went with the fastball, but Santana did a job. He got to the baseball. He got a gift call on the changeup, but he goes back upstairs with the fastball, so Santana stays alive and keeps it a 2-2 count.
Now Price looking to shoot a dart to the outside corner. Santana bounces to third. Routine play for Donaldson, and the inning is over. But a leadoff double by Jason Gibbons leads to the game's first run. Now the Blue Jays are coming to bat. Blue Jays tout one of the best offensive lineups in baseball. Let's take a look at it. Brought to you by Toyota. Ben Revere to lead it off. Then it's Josh Donaldson. Jose Bautista batting third. Edwin Encarnacion, recently a 3-homer game His batting cleanup, Troy Tulowitzki, who came over in a trade from Colorado, hits fifth. Chris Colabello, the former Twin, batting sixth. Russell Martin, Kevin Pillar, and Ryan Goins rounded out.
And the Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher Danny Salazar for the Tribe. Salazar is making his 24th start. 11-7 record, 3.30 ERA. He pitched one time against them last year, and it was in this building, and he only went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits, only 2 runs. He walked 2 and struck out 3. In his career, he's 1-1 against the Blue Jays.
Ben Revere stands in, and Danny Salazar with a fastball strike. You see there, Revere came over from Philadelphia at the trading deadline, and since coming over, he's done a nice job. Though most of the numbers you see there have been from him batting at the bottom of the lineup, just moved up to the top.
Yeah. Tulowitzki was leading off there since his trade over here to Toronto.
Quickly the count 0-2 on Ben Revere. There's Troy Tulowitzki. That's too high, and the count 1 ball 2 strikes.
Danny coming off his last start with the New York Yankees, where it took him a while to get going. He wasn't firing on all cylinders. Snapped a 3-game winning streak. Gave up
Swung
a couple
out
of home
and
runs.
missed. He chased a breaking ball in the dirt. And now Gomes will throw to first to record the out. 1 away.
Let's check the Indians defense behind Salazar this evening. It looks like this. In left field, it's going to be Brantley, Almonte, and Sands in the outfield. Aviles and Lindor on the left side. Kipnis, Santana on the right, with Gomes doing the catching. Defense brought to you by Jeep. Changeup going down. That's a pitch he's going to need tonight. Gomes couldn't tag him, so he had to throw to first base.
Josh Donaldson quickly has become a fan favorite in Toronto, and it helps when you lead in the league in RBIs, second in homers, third in doubles.
Yeah, extra base hits. He's far and away the best.
A little bit high. 2-0. Leading the league in RBIs, runs scored, extra base hits. Pitch outside, and it's 3-0. Jose Bautista waiting on deck. And he missed on 4 straight. And the Blue Jays have a base runner. Keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Is the price right or wrong? Indians got a run on the first. We'll see how the rest plays out. And the matchup is truly Danny Salazar against the Jays' right-handed thumpers. They only have 2 left-handed bats in the lineup. The leadoff man Ben Revere and the number 9 hitter Ryan Goins. The rest all right-handed.
Yeah, on the year, Salazar just a .211 batting average to righties with 7 homers.
Jose Bautista with 31 home runs, 88 runs batted in. And again, he misses. It's ball 1. That's 5 straight. Bautista tied for 7th in homers, 5th in runs batted in. Catches the outside corner, and it's 1-1.
Looked like he was taken all the way after 5 straight balls.
Out of play, right side. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Toronto has won 3 straight after sweeping Detroit. They've won 8 out of 10. They lead the Yankees by a game and a half in the American League East. They have been one of the league's most dominant teams at home. Kansas City and Houston have been a little bit better. But the Blue Jays at 43-23 have certainly taken full advantage of their games here at the Rogers Center as that's pulled foul.
Well, when you look at them as a team, they own the best run differential in all of baseball. They've outscored their opposition by 193 runs so far this year. And like you said, they just try to beat you, and you quit on it. You know, you just get so far ahead, you can't let that happen. You have to stay in there. You have to.
They take your will away.
Yes, they can.
Salazar has Batista down on the count 1-2.
Good pitch.
Donaldson, the runner at first base. Swung out and missed. Boy, Salazar got him, I believe, with a changeup.
Yes, it was.
Second,
you know what?
that was a
beautiful pitch, because the last changeup he threw him, he lined it down the left field line. Let's look at the sequence here. Start him off fastball away. Good pitch. There's the slider, so it's 1-1. Rises that fastball up, and there's the changeup he left up there. But then comes back with a good fastball down. There's the changeup back again, and he swings through it.
Now Edwin Encarnacion. This guy has been on some kind of tear. 42 of his last 80 hits have gone for extra bases. That's 22 doubles, 20 home runs in his last 80 hits.
Yeah, he's named AL Player of the Week.
He has an RBI in 8 straight games. I told you the hitting streak at 25.
Extra base hit in 8 straight games as well.
Painted the outside corner at 96. And it's 1-1. Our player profile brought to you by Levin Furniture. That's the 4th longest hitting streak in Blue Jay history. Told you before, he bounced around a little bit earlier in his career. Ended up back here with the Blue Jays and has flourished.
Yeah, well, the last 3 hitters, Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion, all with 30 home runs. That's the 3-headed monster you have to go through probably 4 times in the course of a game, sometimes 5. That's a good pitch.
2-2. Well, consider this, Rick. This is the final day here in the month of August. Encarnacion with 35 RBIs this month. That's the most ever in a single month for a Blue Jay.
Yeah, that's incredible. They've had some pretty good run producers up here as well.
The 2-2. And now a full count. We were 2 down. Donaldson will be off at first. The man who previously held that record for Toronto was Carlos Delgado. He had 34 in a month, but he came after the great teams that the Blue Jays had here in the late 80s, early 90s. Salazar's payoff pitch is fouled out of play. Donaldson held at first by Santana, but he'll be taking off. Swung out and missed. Danny blew it by him with some high heat, and he strikes out 3 in the first. Revere down swinging. Batista goes chasing, and Encarnacion down 2. Starting lineup for Terry Francona is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. We saw the first 4 in the first inning. Following Santana, you've got Ryan Rayburn as the DH, Yan Gomes. Jerry Sands is batting 7th. Abraham Almonte, the switch hitter, hitting 8th. And Mike Aviles will bat 9th. David Price delivers. And Ryan Rayburn takes a strike. Rayburn has picked up a hit in each of the last 2 games he's played in. Price goes to an off-speed pitch outside 1-1. Had pretty good numbers, 9 out of 27. That's hit hard and foul.
Came back, it looked like with another changeup, but this one was inside. Take a look at the numbers from David Price. He's our Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher. 4-0 with the Blue Jays, making his 6th start, 1.98 ERA. Nice numbers. 41 strikeouts in his 36 in the 3rd innings.
Oh man, Russell Martin took that right off the mask, knocked it to the dirt.
Well, check this out. I mean, that is what you call a direct hit. And, you know, when they were back in Cleveland back in early May for that 4-game series that we played, I'll tell you, he had a tough series behind the plate. They had a lot of young pitchers. Balls were all over the place. He was moving around back there.
Now the 1-2. Swung on and missed. Got him with a breaking ball. First strikeout for David Price.
Let's check out that Jays defense behind Price tonight. Brought to you by Jeep. It looks like this. Rivera in left, Pilar in center, Bautista in right. Donaldson at 3rd, Tulowitzki at short. Goins is at 2nd. Colabello is at 1st with Russell Martin doing the catching.
Paul Emmel is calling the balls and strikes tonight. Jerry Meals, your crew chief, at 1st. Andy Fletcher at 2nd. Clint Fagan down at 3rd. Here is Yan Gomes. Fouls one back. Boy, yesterday in Cleveland, Yan Gomes, or 2 days ago in Cleveland. On Saturday night, Gomes hit a grand slam. 0-1 pitch. Nothing in 2 to count. Gomes 0 for 12 with a half dozen strikeouts against David Price. Tough matchup. And that's fouled back.
This is a ballpark that yields the 2nd most home runs as a ballpark to Baltimore. Baltimore has given up 172 homers on the year. This ballpark 166. So this East, and you figure Fenway Park's got to be around there too, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yankee Stadium.
And Yankee Stadium, right? The East.
Gomes down swinging, 2 away. Window Systems game time temperature tonight 75 degrees. And you see the humidity at 73%, so it is warm, muggy. No real breeze to speak of at all. Jerry Sands slices one foul out of play. Rick, it stands to reason if you're a left-handed hitter that facing David Price would certainly pose challenges. Why is he particularly effective against right-handed hitters?
Well, that changeup away. He's got that tough slider. He can throw. He seems like he can locate his fastball anywhere and throw it when he wants to. Back foot slider going into him. Changeup down and away going away from him. has him guessing. See, there you go. There's that back foot slider. And anytime you see him go in there with that or a fastball in off the plate, he's trying to set up that changeup.
So he gets you looking in, and then the changeup away.
And then you just don't commit to it because it looks like the fastball. A lot of people will be out in front. So that's why that.
Look at that batting average difference.
Oh, I know
nobody's going to stack their lineups with left-handers against him, but.
And then he can also throw that little backdoor breaking ball like he tried. So he's got a lot of weapons to get any hitters out, but lefties, I think it takes away that changeup more so than it does to the right-handers.
The 2-1. Plus, I have to believe, like a lot of good left-handed starters who have power stuff, you see a lot of right-handed heavy lineups because that's where. And
sure.
You probably, after a while, you just get into you have enough practice, enough repetition. You know how to get right-handers out.
Yeah, you get the right-handers out. You get locked into your zones. You stay to your strengths. Not every right-handed hitter can hit left-handed pitching. Everybody believes they can, but they can't.
The 2-2. Oh, he gave up on it, and it just missed inside.
Well, that's because the pitch before that was a changeup away, so he locked him in. If he ever hit it, take a look on our Nissan pitch tracker inside just off the plate. But what it does, it can set up this next pitch as well. It was a 2-2 pitch, so he goes to 3-2. Let's see if he comes back with that changeup down and away. He shook off one time. Martin sitting away.
The 3-2.
There it was.
One out and missed. David Price strikes out the side here in the second. But the Indians maintain a 1-0 lead. Back here in Toronto, Indians with a 1-0 lead. Jason Kipnis a leadoff double, coming home on a double play ground out in the first. Danny Salazar struck out 3 Blue Jays in the first, sandwiched around a walk. There's our In the Driver's Seat, brought to you by Kia. Since the Troy Tulowitzki trade, Blue Jays 23-5. Now Tulowitzki, for his part, hasn't had a big hand in that, and that he's only hit .228, but he's played great defense, and just his addition, the fact that he lengthens their lineup.
That's exactly right.
Gives Encarnacion some protection.
That's true. I mean, and even when he was leading off, he still has to get used to this league, Matt. This is a guy that he was the main man in that Colorado lineup for so long. Now you come over here, and I'm sure they're pitching him differently than he was pitching the National League, because if you're leading off, you're probably going to see more fastballs. But when you're hitting in the middle part of the lineup somewhere with runners on base a lot, you're going to see a lot of off-speed pitches, and maybe he's used to it. So he's got to get used to this league first.
Yeah, even with interleague action, you don't see.
No, you don't get a book
teams
on
that
him.
often.
That's true. You do not get a book on him.
The 1-1. Good off-speed pitch, had him buckled, but didn't quite get it over the plate. 2-1.
Well, Danny, I will say this: Gomes, they're working for every pitch he has. The slider I've seen the curveball already, the changeup, the fastball, which you need to do. But this team will wear you down.
Missed outside, and that right there to me is an incredibly important pitch tonight in particular. He's got to be able to hit down and away
with
4 strikes with that fastball.
I agree. I agree.
Popped him up. Kipnis is backpedaling, calling for it, called off, and Jerry Sands has it 1 away. Well, let's check in downstairs with Andre Knott.
Well, with Danny Salazar, his last start was obviously a disappointment for many that were watching him and with him. I talked to Mickey about him getting started early and about him throwing the fastball and getting it. And he goes, look, he can throw from wall to wall. He can throw from the foul pole to foul pole. He needs to mentally get it in his mind to go out there and throw as hard as he possibly can from the beginning and just go about doing that rather than worry about anything else. And Danny said it. He goes, I've got to throw hard and cannot worry about pitching 7 innings.
Well, you can't worry about how long you're going to pitch because that lineup's going to turn over. So you really have to go as long as you can for as hard as you can. And if it's 5 innings, it's 5 innings. But you got to give it everything and keep it close.
There's no easing into it.
Right.
There's no looking ahead, saving something for an inning in the future. You better pitch to pitch.
That is true here.
1-1 the count on Chris Colabello, who is having a fantastic season. And it does beg the question, Rick, is it Chris Colabello finally coming into his own, or is he simply a product of a fantastic lineup that affords him the opportunity to just kind of fit in?
I think it's both. You know, he comes over here, and with as many right-handed hitters as they have, and I mean power right-handed hitters, how can't you learn? You know what I mean? The process that they go through. He's done a wonderful job. You know, he's hitting .327, 13 homers, 49 ribbies. That's not too shabby. He's not playing every day. So they've got Justin Smoke as well, who's been playing very good, the switch hitter. But this guy has fit in, and he had a lot of key hits for these guys earlier. But to me, he came out of nowhere with Minnesota. Remember, he wallowed around in the minor leagues for years until he finally made it and then came onto the scene and broke in with the first couple of months like gangbusters, and then the league got to know him a little bit. But he's made some adjustments and he's fit in well, very nicely here.
Missed outside with it.
Yeah, he's not commanding the fastball away to this point. He has not been able to do it. Maybe trying to be a little too fine. Danny's fastball is good enough. You just don't throw it down Broadway. You make it to the outer third or quarter of the plate.
Swung on and missed. He strikes him out, and that's 4 strikeouts for Danny Salazar. 2 down here in the second inning.
These people sit in this ballpark, and they're used to these guys banging balls all over the place. This will be our Circle K strikeout. But, folks, this guy's throwing 95 plus.
And that's letter high, too.
And you're not going to catch up. And you know what the thing of it is? It's a high strike zone tonight so far. He's not giving the low strike. He's calling the high strike more so.
Here's Russell Martin.
I think it bodes well.
What a stop by Lindor. Gets up, one hop throw is on the money. And the inning is over.
Nice.
A fantastic play by Francisco Lindor, diving on the short hop, picks it, throws it, got him. great clip of the game from yesterday at Progressive Field. Abraham Almonte, little drag bunt, infield single, and then later in the game, grand slam. One of only 14 players since 2000 to have a bunt single and a grand slam in the same game.
Well, he's one of them.
And he'll lead off here in the third. Pitch outside, ball one. Almonte, Mike Aviles, Jason Kipnis due up here in the third for the Indians. He's going to try to bunt it. He gets it by Price.
Beautiful play.
And a flip, not in time, and the ball hits Almonte. Talk about a bad break.
That was a bad break.
He's easily to second base if that ball goes by, but it hits him and stays right there on the foul line.
It's a good break for Goins. Made a mistake in the first inning trying to throw to third base. This one here probably should have just picked up the ball. It's a beautiful bunt. I like this, man. From the right side, he goes and beats the pitcher. He really had no play at first base.
That's already his third bunt hit.
I'll tell you, I like it. Like it a lot. Why not? You keep the infielders tight. That's well done. Had one yesterday on the drag bunt with the right-hander. This is the push bunt with the left-hander. And gets it started. So the second inning, they've had the leadoff man aboard.
Now Mike Aviles. He was showing bunt. Takes high, ball one. Aviles has had his fair share of success against David Price. He's 9 for 31 coming into tonight. And only twice has he struck out against him. So ground ball right at the second baseman. I was just about to tell you.
I was going to say.
Is this a spot where Terry maybe starts to run or tries some action? Instead, it's a double play that quickly snuffs out a potential rally here starting the third.
That's the 16th double play that Mike Aviles has grounded into. Only Santana has hit into more with 18. Change up and away. Second double play the Indians have hit into tonight, and they continue. That has been their calling card for the last 2 or 3 weeks, where they hit into a boatload of them. $114 on the year.
Jason Kipnis doubled and scored in the first. He chops it. Is it fair? It's fair. He had a late break out of the box. Indians quickly erased here in the third. They maintain a 1-0 lead. This is the Prime Minister Stephen Ford, Stephen Harper, one of those two guys taking in the ball game here tonight. Kevin Pillar to lead it off. And a strike called. Pillar has batted .266, 9 homers, 44 driven in. He's the speed guy. He's got 17 stolen bases. Outside of that, Blue Jays don't run much because, frankly, they don't have to.
Well, right. They don't have to. They hit the ball out of the ballpark, and you have to pitch to these guys. So these guys always seem to be hanging around or getting on base, and they're pests.
Well,
you have to throw them strikes.
How else do you explain Josh Donaldson batting in the 2-hole with 106 RBIs already?
Yeah, the bottom part of the lineup has to be getting on for him. Absolutely.
Popped him up. Good pitch by Salazar. 2-1. He's got a good hitter's count. He gets Pillar to pop one to second. Our AT&T Uverse rewind. Let's go back and look at Francisco Lindor's great play and the second.
You know what I like about this? He comes up knowing he's on turf, and he can just bounce it. He doesn't have to try and throw it all the way in the air. It's a beautiful dive and stop. Just throw it onto the ground, and he'll get over there, and it was a nice play to get you out of the inning.
Ryan Goins fouls one straight back. Good pitch. 95 and right down at the bottom of the strike zone. And quickly disposes of the number 9 hitter with his 5th strikeout of the night. Danny Salazar, first time through the order. The Blue Jays 0 for 8, 5 strikeouts.
Well, there you go. That was a changeup to start it out. Another one right there. Throws a fastball by Encarnacion, elevates it to Colabello. And there you go. Gets Cohen's on the changeup. So, yeah, he's got it working. And it didn't take him any time to get it rolling tonight.
Now Ben Revere.
Look at that. Get me over curve. That is pitching right there at its finest.
Right back by Salazar. Kipnis bobbles it. And Revere is aboard to keep the inning alive.
You know, I thought actually Salazar should have had it, but it gets by him and Kipnis gets to it. He just, in the transfer, just couldn't hold on to it. Never really caught it cleanly.
Oh, that's weird. They give him a base hit.
Yeah, they'll give you a base hit because he's ranging to his right a little bit. But you know what? I'm serious. I don't know if he would have threw him out if he does catch it cleanly. It looked like he might have, but we'll see. I think he knows he should have made that play. I thought Salazar was going to catch it.
Danny looked like he double clutched.
Well, he didn't go out there, but because sometimes you think it's hit too harder than what it truly is, I think, especially coming off turf.
Now here's Josh Donaldson. He walked on 4 pitches his first time up. Chance of MVP rained down from the seats. Nice block by Gomes.
How nice is it to see this ballpark packed again?
Been a long time.
Watch him. He goes to reach out, and he didn't really. He didn't extend the arm out there to try and catch it. Don't know if he didn't pick it up or not. I don't know that, so he got by him. But you got to go back to the 90s for this place looking like this. All the people in the seats.
And the early 90s at that.
Yeah, right. 92, 93. 94 right in there. 91, 92, 93. They drew 4 million people for a few years here. And they're excited about their baseball this year as well. It's been a long drought for the fans up here in Toronto. We have the Leafs up here, and they've been down for a while.
Danny Salazar fires the first. Yeah, you talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and one of the most valuable franchises in the NHL in terms of dollars, what it would cost to own that team. But 14 Stanley Cups, but it's been a long time since they were really the creme de la creme, if you will, of the NHL. The Toronto Argonauts of the CFL, I think they won the Grey Cup 16 times. The 1-1. Bounded foul.
See, people, you know, I know they're paying attention to Goins over at first base, but when you're on first base, you are in scoring position with this guy up at the plate. As many extra base hits as he has. The last thing they want to do is get thrown out with a guy like this at home plate.
Hunter goes. Swing and a miss. Danny Salazar with another strikeout. Give him a half dozen through 3. And the Indians lead it 1-0.
MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with live radio broadcast, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Francisco Lindor takes a strike from David Price. In the air, center field. And Kevin Pillar makes the catch. It's the first Indians out in the air. Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Since the All-Star break, the Blue Jays ERA just a shade behind the Houston Astros, then the Royals, and then the Indians.
You're talking 2.7s. That's impressive. I think that's the Cardinals for the year over in the National League. It's about a 2.7 as a team for the whole year.
Does the DH account for almost a run different?
It accounts for
Close?
more. I would say close, but maybe not quite a run. But I mean, you got to go back. You're looking at teams when you look at that Cardinal ERA as a team, national or American. You got to go back to like the Orioles teams of the 70s, the Oakland A's. I mean, that's how far back you have to go to look at what they're doing now this year. Very impressive.
Now the 1-0 pitch. Wow, it's blistered down into the seats.
I don't know if that was a cutter or not. It wasn't as good fastball. And you see, I think I want to keep an eye on it when we see Kipnis and Brantley hit the left-handers. What he does differently to these guys. You see, that was not as good fastball. So I'm thinking that might have been a cutter. That's usually what the speed is, 89, 90. And Brantley hammered it.
That was a little better fastball at 94, but Michael banged that off with his foot.
You see, when you get geared for a fastball from Price, you've got to get the barrel head of the bat out. When you throw the cutter, what you're doing, you're speeding up the hitter's bat, and if you leave it on the middle of the plate in, that's really going to give him an opportunity to pull you.
Now the 1-2. Michael hung in really good on a wicked off speed pitch. Considering the last one was at 94, this one comes floating in at 78.
He hung him a hook. He didn't want it here, and Michael was waiting for it. Oh boy, he would want that back. That's not where he wants the hook. You see where Martin was sitting away. He missed his target by probably a foot and a half.
He missed badly again. Did you see where Martin tapped the ground?
Right.
He tapped the ground. Get it down here. That one was up and in. Luckily for him, it was not hittable.
Watch the glove. See, there it is. Give me that down here on the ground, and watch where he hits it inside off the dish.
That's where you talk about you've got to take advantage of pitchers' mistakes.
See, the comfort there is not there with that changeup. Getting it down, it is to the for right-handers away where the left-hander's standing.
And he goes 96, just missed off the plate, full count. Good battle between two of the game's best right here.
No doubt. Brantley never gives in.
And Price off speed pitch, pulled foul. One down in the fourth. Indians 1, Blue Jays nothing. And the payoff pitch. Swung out and missed. He got him with a fastball.
He located that beautifully. In around the belt. That's what made it so tough to get to, was the barrel of the bat. The higher it is, the tougher it is to get to.
No, was no swinging room in there either.
No, right. I mean, look at it. If you foul it off, that's probably the best you're going to do with it. And he didn't. He buried him in there. It was a good pitch. Michael shaking his head. He had a couple of pitches to hit in that at bat.
Carlos Santana. You know, that cut fastball has become such a big pitch for a lot of pitchers. We're seeing it seems like everybody is adding a cutter to their repertoire.
Right.
Is a hitter more concerned with movement or a guy who can locate? Which is tougher to deal with as a hitter?
Well, if a guy, the first thing you don't understand with movement.
Santana with a 2-out single keeps the inning alive. Just the third hit allowed by Price. Indians have had 1 hit in 3 out of the 4 innings.
When you can locate your pitches, hitters aren't going to hit you. With movement, sometimes you don't know what it's going to do, and there's just a flat pitch right there from Price that Carlos took advantage of.
Well, the reason I ask you is because I understand, hey, if you've got a good cutter, like Corey Kluber, his cutter is
most
wicked.
of the time.
But it seems like that cutter is a lot like those sliders we talk about. You miss with it, and it goes a long way.
There you go. If you don't get the movement you normally expect.
Yeah.
To me, a well-located fastball is still the best pitch in baseball.
Ryan Rayburn fouls it back.
You know, and everything else stems off of the fastball. When you can locate that fastball in and out, boom, to both sides of the plate, down and up, then everything else will fall into place. You can get away with bad pitches sometimes because you're locating your heater. You have to have a go-to pitch when you're behind 2-0, 3-1.
Out of play.
And it used to be in the old days a fastball. I can locate that anytime or any place I want. Nowadays they throw changeups, they throw sliders. They don't throw as many fastballs when they're behind in the count. And we see very good fastballs nowadays.
2-strike pitch missed outside. I would have to, I don't have the data in front of me to back this up. I'd have to guess, though, that the average velocity on fastball today is better than it ever has been in baseball.
I would think so. I'd say it's probably a couple of miles an hour fastball what it used to be. I would agree with that.
Especially with the addition of all these bullpen guys.
Well, those are the guys that are throwing hard, yes.
Low. And it's 2-2, so Ryan Rayburn working himself back into the count here.
Well, he came back with a fastball away, 0-2, missed. Changeup down and away, missed. So it's back to 2-2. But this is where Price, he throws a lot of strikes. He's right around 69, 70%. This is why he goes deep in the game so many times.
I think the Indians have done a pretty good job to this point against him, and he still only made 50 pitches.
Yeah. Well, he's not easy to center. They only have 3 hits. That's 2 more than what the Jays have.
Now the 2-2. And Squibber slowly hit towards second. Goins has to hurry. Flips it with the glove, and he got it. It was a bang play. The crew chief, Jerry Meals, signaled out. Terry Francona takes a look. Video replay says, don't bother.
Yeah, I thought he was out.
The inning is over on a terrific play by Goins with the shovel flip from the glove. Still 1-0 Cleveland. Now's the time to tweet your fan photo to us using the hashtag STODataStrongFan. Bring it strong, folks, for a chance to have one of your photos shown in an upcoming telecast. Danny Salazar is bringing it strong here tonight. He's given up 1 hit. He's walked 1. He has struck out 6. Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, and Troy Tulowitzki here in the 4th.
Well, the only hit that Danny's given up is a play that probably should have been made twice.
Yeah. In the dirt, ball 1.
He's been pitching tonight. It's been fun to watch. But you got to do it for about another 4 or 5 innings.
He's faced 11 batters. Only 4 have put the ball in play.
Well, that shows you the kind of stuff that this guy has.
Breaking ball hit right at the third baseman, Mike Aviles. Good throw, got him 1 away. Injury report brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk. Kevin Travis really hasn't played much, if at all, since he took that wicket one-hop liner back in Cleveland off his shoulder. It's really caused him a lot of problems, and doesn't sound like he'll be back this year.
Well, they may get Stroman back this year, and boy, what a bonus that would be for him.
My Sears Torres, of course, the former Angel, good utility man on the infield. Edwin Encarnacion struck out to end the 1st inning. Just inside 2-0. Up the outside corner.
Well, with a hit, he could tie Olerud, Shannon Stewart. Not this
Kipnis
time.
from the shortstop side of the bag. Makes a good throw, 2 down. College football returns to Fox and Fox Sports 1 beginning Thursday when former Michigan quarterback Jim Harbaugh makes his debut as head coach at his alma mater, leading the Wolverines against the Utah Utes. And the only place you can see it is on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Two down, and Troy Tulowitzki, the batter, he flied to right, his only time up. Danny Salazar looking for his second 1-2-3 inning. And a 1-1 pitch. Hammered left field. First extra base hit of the game for the Blue Jays. Tulo going into second base hard, and he'll reach with a 2-out double. Off-speed pitch that just sort of hung right out over the plate.
It was a slider this time, and it stayed right there. And that speeds his bat up. You're right. Pulled it down the line. So that was not well located, but he took advantage of it. 2-out double, no harm. You still have the 2 outs.
Now Chris Colabello struck out his only time up. You know, Colabello, as we pointed out, has had a very good year. So this is either a product of incredible scouting on the Blue Jays' part or just simply good fortune, because in his 114 big league games prior to this year, he batted .214.
Well, he had an 18-game hitting streak this year, believe it or not.
He was a non-roster invite to spring training. And obviously showed the Blue Jays enough to put him on the roster, make him part of the club. The 0-1. It's a foul ball, and by inches.
Well, he's done a good job this year with runners in scoring position. A 357 clip. That one just missed the bag at third base. You'll see it. And I mean, as far as Fagan goes, the umpire was right on it. He kicked up chalk before the base. Ends up being a foul ball.
The 0-2. Upstairs with it. Remember, he chased a high fastball and struck out his first time up. Massachusetts native Chris Colabello. High fastball. He caught up to that and fouled it back.
Now that one's away. Foul it up. It's hard to put that one in play. You look like you have a good swing, but it's elevated. You can't get on top of it. It's just coming a bit too hard.
Swung on and missed. Danny Salazar changed the pace, and Colabello goes down swinging. Strikeout number 7 for Salazar. Is brought to you by your Northern Ohio Honda dealers, by the Cleveland Clinic. Call for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough. Danny Salazar working on a beauty. Through 4 innings, he's given up 2 hits, struck out 7, has walked only 1 batter. And the Indians clinging to a 1-0 lead. Swing and a miss by Yan Gomes, who was down on strikes his first time up. Foul right back. Well, both guys
pretty even, right?
Bringing it tonight. Salazar's been a little more overpowering. Missed outside. Jason Kipnis led off the first inning with a double that led to the only run of this game. The only other extra base hit in the game came with 2 outs in the fourth by Troy Tulowitzki. Indians have a couple of singles.
Yeah, bunt single to the infield. Almonte leading off the third. A double play short circuited that, and a 2-out single by Santana. Not much damage there.
Up and away, full count. A 3-2 offering is fouled out of play. I mean, when you look at pitchers who have faced the Indians historically, guys who've made at least 10 starts against the Tribe since 1920, only Pedro Martinez has a better ERA against the Indians than David Price.
Well, that's saying something. There's been a lot of pitchers.
The 3-2. Chop to third. It stays fair. Donaldson unloads, and a good stretch by Colabello to get Gomes one away. Time now for a Mazda game break. Here is Al Pawlowski. All right, thanks a lot, Al. That's important there because it's interesting if you want to pay attention to the wild card standings at this point in the season. Tomorrow begins the first day of September. Why not? Tampa Bay is a half game ahead of the Indians. Baltimore's a half game behind the Indians.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting series to watch just from a fan rooting standpoint with regards to where the Indians are currently situated in this wild card tangled web.
Yeah, with 1 month to go. What, 33 after tonight for the Indians. We're the only team in the Central that's playing tonight.
Jerry Sands tied up, and it's 0-2. Now the 2-strike pitch to Jerry Sands. Strikes it out. Number 5 for David Price. 2 down here in the 5th.
Well, the season is winding down, so don't miss the Indians and Tigers on Saturday, September 12th 10,000 fans will get a Terry Francona scooter. That's a bobblehead courtesy of Meritech, and all fans can enjoy post-game fireworks that night, September 12th. Go to Indians.com for your tickets.
Abraham Almonte, a bunt single back in the third. Almonte was showing bunt, and he took a strike to even the count. Normally with 2 outs, let's see a hitter just swing away, try to hit a double if you can. One and 2 the count. Tell you what, Rick, we might have more than 40,000. I just looked up, and a lot of those empty seats earlier have been filled.
Oh, they certainly have.
So maybe a later arriving crowd with the traffic in downtown Toronto, not a surprise. And watching a terrific pitcher's duel to this point. The 1-2 is a little tapper foul by Almonte.
Almonte, a good fastball hitter, but you just can't look for the fastball for price because he can attack you with the changeup and that back foot slider. So you have to sort of stay back and wait because you don't know what's coming. Here comes a fastball in though. You better locate it.
He nailed the corner.
He locked him up.
6 Ks for David Price.
It's Sugardale Dollar Dog Night on September 11th, Friday night. The Indians will host the Detroit Tigers. Post-game fireworks presented by Wayside Furniture. Kick off the second to last homestand of the year. Go to Indians.com for your tickets. That kicks off a long homestand. Indians' longest of the year.
Right now we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Bottom third of the order due up for Toronto. Russell Martin grounded to short his only time up. Danny Salazar misses high, ball 1.
It was only a couple of days ago where Martin ended up getting rid of his batting gloves. Ended up the first game he did it, he hit a home run. So you can safe to say that I'm not going to put him back on.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see him anytime
and he
soon.
said, and I watched him say, I'm not really a superstitious guy, but he just likes the way the bat feels better with no gloves on.
Well, Rick, if you'll notice with Martin, I think, does he have the, a lot of these guys now are going to this new, I don't know what you call it.
Is it a tape?
Yeah,
it's like a tape on the bat.
But it's like a padded tape.
Right.
It's almost like a golf grip.
Right, exactly. It's a wrap.
You never used to see that on wooden bats.
No, and you know what? I bet you're right.
It's a new product, though, that's
a good grip.
Seeing a lot more of it. He grounds to third as Aviles throws him out one away. Well, the big news today back in Cleveland was Mark Shapiro announcing that after 24 years, he is leaving the Indians to come here to Toronto to be the Blue Jays president and CEO. You and I have both known Mark a long time.
Yes.
He hired you at one point to work with the minor league ball players.
'93, I think, the first year we were in Winter Haven.
Kind of mixed emotions, I think, for both of us. You're happy for Mark.
Yes, happy for him.
Sad to see
for
him
his
go.
new venture, but absolutely right. He was a good man, worked hard, started in the minor leagues, built the farm system up, did a good job, worked his way up the ladder, and hey, you know what? That's 24 years. Maybe it is time to move on. There's nothing wrong with that.
You know, the thing for me, and I know you probably have your own thoughts, for me, Mark's legacy is cemented. It's one of empowerment. I think Mark did a fantastic job of hiring good people, finding good people, and empowering them to do their job.
Yeah.
He wasn't one to stand out and say, I, me, or micromanage. He was a guy that looked for good people and just kind of gave them a roadmap and said, now go do it.
Surround yourself with good people and good things happen. And, you know, he built the organization. He helped build it up in many, many ways.
Swung out and missed. Pilar down on strikes, 2 down. And this was Mark Shapiro earlier today on the decision, why now?
I feel like throughout all of professional sports, this is one that fits my skill set. It fits what provides fulfillment for me on a daily basis. And when I think about who I am as a person, and for those of you that know me, I'm a lot about waking up every single day and wanting to be better, wanting to grow, wanting to develop. To do that, you have to be challenged. To do that, you have to take on new challenges, and sometimes be a little uncomfortable. And you know, this opportunity for me is the right challenge at the right time of our lives and of my life.
That's pretty simple. Oh, he missed the other one.
Wow, just off the glove of Danny this time, right back up the gut. And Ryan Goins aboard to keep the inning alive.
Now, look, this isn't normal surface when you get it back when you're a pitcher. You know, he's upset with himself. It's a different texture. It may do something different with the baseball. But that was a one-hopper. That time it looked like he threw his glove out too far.
Yeah.
Where the last time it wasn't out far enough. So I don't know if it's this. Look at, he's upset. The surface of this, where the ball comes off of, may be a little different than grass.
Yeah, I mean, that hit off the dirt. But again, even the dirt here, you get more of a rabbit hop than you do.
Well, I'm not making excuses, but it's obviously different. That's a one-hopper he should have had.
With 2 down, Ben Revere, the batter, and takes ball 1. Let's go down to Andre, who has more on how this turf plays.
You know, I talked to Mike Aviles as well as Jason Kipnis and Tito Francona about the turf. And Tito says it's nothing like what they used to play on. It's soft, but it's the grass part that looks like grass is longer than you think. Now, Kipnis says you get true hops, but every once in a while you get a funky hop with a nice spin on it, and it looks like that's what happened to Salazar there.
Revere takes close, but call the ball, 2-0. Broke his bat. Salazar kicks this one towards Kipnis. Bare hand grab, no play.
Killing himself out there.
Third time in the game now that Danny's had a chance to make a play. He's 0 for 3.
Well, and it was a Revere the last time, too, going back up the middle. This one was down a little bit more, and it goes off the end of his glove. I mean, it shattered his bat. It's right there. He just can't hold on to it. It goes off the end of his glove, and no play because Revere runs too hard. So now You're facing the RBI leader in this league because of a couple of balls that were right there. He had a chance to end the inning and couldn't do it. So he's got to bear down and get a tough hitter.
Pulls it foul. With less than 2 out and runners in scoring position, Donaldson is hitting .468. With 2 outs, the current situation, that average goes down to .255.
Which is probably still higher than normal.
But .468 is
absurd.
Unbelievable. Key spot in the game right here. 0-1 pitch. Missed outside. Right now is one of those situations where even with 2 outs, if you make a mistake, it can be a 3-run mistake quickly. And so for Danny Salazar, he's got to bear down and try to get Donaldson to hit his pitch and not give in.
That's
perfect. Oh my.
See, he hasn't been calling a low pitch all night. That's the thing. That's normally a strike. I'd say with most umpires, down, away. That's where he hasn't been able to locate tonight. That might have been just a little bit off the plate. But I like the location of it. I really do.
Well, now the set with 2 on and 2 out on the 2-1 pitch. He went down and away again. Gomes had to really reach for it, so now it's 3-1. And again, you never want to load the bases, but you don't have to just flat out give in here.
Oh, no, you don't throw anything down the middle. If you walk, you try to make your pitch, and if you walk him, you walk him. You move on to the next guy. You still got the base open, but you don't look at it that way. Yeah, I can hear him.
Throw it by him. I mean, just straight challenged him indeed.
He challenged him.
Said, let's go, big boy.
96. Here we go. He got a piece of it, but, you know, he took his best shot.
These are the moments you love about athletics. And these are the best of the best right now. Salazar, Donaldson. Payoff pitch. Off the end of bat, but stung pretty well. Deep center, and Almonte can't get there. 3 will score. Donaldson into third with a triple.
Looked like Danny came back with a 3-2 changeup. And it was upstairs a little bit. Donaldson gave it a nice ride to right center field. And watch Almonte. He's going out there going. He had his glove out there. It hit leather. It hit his glove. Right off the end. You see, he was running with it for a couple of steps out. But Donaldson will cruise into third base. That'll be a triple.
And a 2-run triple for the Blue Jays. Number 2 hitter. Man, was he some kind of fired up when he went charging into third base.
That's his first triple of the year. Well, and just you think about it, the 2 hitters that reached base prior to that were both outs, really, off the glove of Salazar.
Jose Bautista 0 for 2, struck out, grounded out. Yeah, you think about how many times in a game the difference between success and failure is literally inches.
Oh, yeah.
And for Danny Salazar, twice in this inning, inches away from making a play. And now it costs him 2 runs.
Now Monte was inches away from making that catch.
Yeah, right off the, yeah. Jeff Manship getting loose. Back, shy of the track, makes the catch. Josh Donaldson delivers with a 2-out, 2-run triple. And Toronto now leads it 2-1. Data Strong fan photo of the game, and for a chance to have one of your photos shown, just tweet your photo to us using the hashtag STO DataStrongFan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming telecast courtesy of T-Mobile. Tribe down a run now. Still a long way to go. 6th inning. Mike Aviles leading off. Back. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Back out of play in the seats.
And that slider in on his hands that time. He jammed him a little bit. It's tough to string 2, 3 hits together off this guy. You know, because he never gives in. Got that good changeup. So you need an extra base hit.
Avila sends one to center. And in-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Jason Kipnis led off the game with a double and then came home on a double play ball turn in the first inning. It stayed that way until the fifth with 2 outs. A couple of infield singles that glanced off the glove of Danny Salazar, and then a 2-run triple by Josh Donaldson. Two quick strikes on Kipnis. He doesn't like the last one.
A couple of sliders.
A little bit up. 1-2. Abraham Almonte talking to Brad Mills. It was this close to making that catch. I think you're talking about the route to the ball.
Well, he got to it. He got leather on it, but it was, believe me, just barely. Ball was hit pretty well into right center field. I didn't really see where he was playing him originally and where he started from.
Two offering. Strikes him out. David Price with strikeout number 7. 2 down here in the 6th inning. Here are the 3 plays just inches off the glove of Salazar.
That was for the 3rd out of the inning.
That was for the third
out of the inning. And so was this one. Off the end of the glove. I mean, when you're at a full sprint, that's hard to do. He had Salazar had a couple of easy chances for himself.
You know, one of the things that our good friend Buck Martinez shared with us before the game is that Josh Donaldson playing with Oakland those years, ball doesn't carry the opposite way in Oakland, but he came over here and realizes there are a lot of hits to the opposite field. You saw he stayed on that ball the other way, drove it to right center field, ends up with a big hit.
Yeah, out of his let's see, 36 home runs, 8 or 9 of them have come to right field.
Lindor chases, inning over. David Price has set down 7 in a row. He has fanned 8 on the night.
Well, season tickets offer the best perks, including savings and access to Tribe Rewards. And today's Tribe Rewards TV code is Nagy. Visit Indians.com/season tickets for complete details.
Bottom of the 6th. And it's 2-1 Toronto. Edwin Encarnacion is 0 for 2 tonight. Danny Salazar's pitch up high, ball 1. There's a 26-game hitting streak for Encarnacion. And right after he made contact, when he dropped the bat, he clapped his hands together as if to say, okay, I don't have to worry about this streak anymore. Took care of that.
Well, he ties for the second longest. That looked like it might have been a two-seam fastball that stayed up. It didn't have as much movement. It stayed on the same plane. There was no sink to it. So, in other words, when you're throwing 95, it speeds him up. And out comes Callaway now to talk to him. So a 26-game hitting streak for Encarnacion. You can see it's the second longest in Jay's history. Next in line, Sean Green. And that'll be on Wednesday if he is able to get a hit tomorrow. We could possibly tie it while we're here.
Time for a quick Mazda game break. Here's Al Pawlowski. All right, thanks, Al. Rick, that looked to me like Mickey Callaway went out to truly look Danny Salazar in the eye and get a true feel of where he's at, how he feels right now. Because the bullpen is up, the bullpen is ready.
Well, Salazar's still throwing well.
He's only made 84 pitches.
Right. I mean, he's not. He's got to continue. Just get this ball, get a ground ball, get a double play.
Tulowitzki sends a high fly ball over near the line. Jerry Sands into the crowd.
No,
couldn't make the catch.
Just a little too far into the seats. See that girl right there? It's about 2 rows deep. Caught her hands right there. She's going to push it out, and he goes in.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, not by much. The glove was up there from that guy with no number on his back, and it must have hit that girl's hand that had her hat on backwards because she was shaking it.
She hit his glove, and I think that's what cost him potentially a catch. But once you reach into the crowd,
right. It's in the seats.
You're fair game.
They did not reach over. That's for sure.
0-1 the count on Tulowitzki. It's down low.
There's your ground ball.
Lindor to second for 1 on to first. Double play.
Good job.
Francisco Lindor going to the backhand in the hole. Perfect feed to Kipnis, who turned it on to Santana to get 2.
Just what he was looking for, Matty. That ground ball. And you can see, get it over to Kipnis in time. He makes the relay. Double play. Now you're right back in business.
Tell you what, Jason got a lot on that throw when he wasn't able to get much from a momentum standpoint. Runner bearing down on Encarnacion. He threw that flat-footed. Still got off a good strong throw.
Well, I like that Salazar made the pitch he had to make because you could use him for another inning as well.
Chris Colabello has struck out twice. Goes after the first pitch. Lindor scoops it up.
Beautiful.
Throws him out. Good strong inning for Danny Salazar. And we've still got quite a game in Toronto. 2-1 Blue Jays as we go to the 7th. by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable. Back here in Toronto, the Blue Jays lead at 2-1. New first baseman for Toronto is Justin Smoke.
Yeah, late in the game, they're putting their defense in. Colabella there was in there for the offense today, although he didn't do anything. So now with a 1-run lead in the 7th, they're putting in their defense.
Indians have just 3 hits on the night. Michael Brantley leading off 0 for 2. You know, it's funny, I'm thinking, Rick, about the trade that netted Toronto David Price. And he's facing Michael Brantley, who came over when the Indians traded CC Sabathia. And I think about how valuable Sabathia was for Milwaukee that year down the stretch. Remember, he pitched on short rest. He pitched every 3 days, whatever they needed. He got him into the playoffs. And Price has been that good so far for Toronto. 1 away. Let's go down to Andre Nadu, who has more on that David Price trade and how the Blue Jays reacted to it.
Well, they reacted to it. They were excited that their management were behind them. But one thing John Gibbons said about having Price, he goes, we love him on the 5th day when he pitches. He goes, but you love him just as much when he's not pitching. He goes, he's got his cleats on. He's got a bat with him. He's always saying, hey, I'll pinch hit, I'll run. And he goes, and that just got all the guys into it. He says, Tulowitzki, same thing. They've come here with a great attitude. He goes, and it doesn't hurt that they can play. And he goes, it's got their whole team going in a different direction. And he said they love having them, and they love being here. And he said the crowds haven't hurt either.
Well, you win, crowds come. They got a couple of ball players right there, Tulowitzki and Price.
Up and away. Ball 1.
To go with Donaldson and the other guys that they've had here playing well all year. Martin behind the plate. You think that hurts? That's what a deal that was.
One and 1 to count.
This guy is from Toronto. Russell Martin.
1-1 pitch. And from all accounts, I understand he's a veteran, but a lot of times it takes a while for a guy to sort of feel like he can be a leader on a team or step in and say things. Not him. He stepped right in, and he set a lot of guys straight here, guys who've been here for a while.
You know, Pittsburgh, after he left there, you'd figure they were going to be hurt for one, but they went out and got another catcher that's fitting in fine there as well. From New York. But Russell Martin was a big man in that clubhouse as well.
Oh, Cervelli, you're talking about Francisco Cervelli in Pittsburgh, yeah.
They had to find a way to replace Martin.
Yeah, not easy to do.
No, but they did a pretty darn good job in a hurry.
Right now, Carlos Santana trying to figure out a way to get the Indians jump started. Shoots it out of play.
Well, Santana had the last hit. It was a 2-out hit back in the 4th.
Santana, by the way, with that hit, Rick, has hit in 8 straight games. Doesn't seem like much, but well, that's an 8-game streak for Santana. You got Lindor, who came in with a 9-game hitting streak. Brantley came in with a 7-game hitting streak. Lonnie Chisholm just had his hitting streak snapped at, what, 10 games? Now Price with a 3-2 to Santana. Fouled back. It's a team that offensively has been playing really well, and tonight the fact that they have just a 1-run, 3 hits, that's a direct reflection on the guy who's chucking it at him.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, 9-1 in his career, you know, against the Tribe, so he feels good anytime he pitches against this team.
Inside, ball 4. Good at bat for Carlos Santana. And the Indians have their first base runner after he had retired 8 straight.
And that's the first walk of the night for Price.
Hey, we're back on the road to glory for week 2 of the high school football season. And we've got a big showdown between Elyria and Lorraine. Join Jeff Phelps, Frank Stams, and Ryan Kavanaugh Friday at 11 on Sports Time Ohio.
Going out to the west side.
Yeah.
Of Cleveland.
Yeah, Elyria, as Rayburn shoots one to right field. Back goes Batista, still going back. It's over his head, off the wall. Santana coming out there. They're going to wave him home. Here's the relay to the plate. Not in time. Into third, Rayburn. And the Indians have tied the game on an RBI double by Ryan Rayburn off the wall in right field. Although I wonder if they might give him a triple, Rick.
No, Bautista dropped the ball in right field, and that enabled Ramirez to score. When he went to go get it, watch this. It's going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. First pitch, go to right central. He's going to play it off the wall. They would have had to hold him up until that right there. He bobbled it. By the time he got it in, that enabled Sarbaugh to start Santana. He slides in safely, and I don't know what Rayburn was doing at third because it was a bad slide.
It's football season. He was tackling that bag.
It looked like his leg fell off, but he's on third. And now they got to bring the infield in.
Some people see third base. Ryan sees a tackling dummy.
Yes, indeed.
Infield in for Toronto. Tribe trying to take the lead. Jan Gomes takes ball 1. Gomes has never had a hit against David Price.
Well, you don't need a hit to get this guy in from third, although the infield is in. Look for something you can put in the air or just put in play. But remain patient. Don't help him.
He pumped the fastball in there. Evens the count 1-1. Toronto gets their bullpen busy for the first time tonight. Carlos Santana almost went down in the dugout. There are a lot of pitfalls here at the Rogers Center. The 1-1 out of play. Well, now it is imperative that Yan Gomes somehow try to get this ball in play. Maybe get a ball in the air. Easier said than done when he's got 8 strikeouts on the night.
Right now you just try and put it in play. You got to protect on the fastball and you know, just foul it off, and hopefully if you get the changeup you can hit it.
Right back.
There you go. That way he reached back. That was 97 trying to throw it past him. And he couldn't do it. So that's what you do. You try and foul off the fastball. You don't really try and hit it for a base hit. Just stay alive with it, because that's one you can swing at. But if he throws you the breaking ball or changeup, that's the one you want to hopefully do damage with.
And I'm sure that David Price knows he's nearing the end of the line, so he's going to empty the tank. And that's why you saw that hit 97.
Certain times you need a strikeout in the game, and the good ones have it. They save bullets. They save that extra to put on it.
Now the 1-2 to Gomes.
Again, that's beautiful. Good hit in there. Staying alive. Back-to-back fastballs. This time it was away, and he fouls it straight back. It's easy to foul that pitch off. You don't have to try and gear up and hit it, because now that puts Price in a little different situation. When he sees you fouling it off and he can't throw it by you, now he has to maybe go with a little different approach.
Yeah, that's the question. Does he's got a pitch to work with here, a couple actually.
Going inside with maybe a fastball here. Sliding.
Number 9 for Price. 2 down.
Or that cut fastball, one of the two, but he makes a great pitch. After Gomes was able to foul the other 2 fastballs off, can't catch up to that one, so leaves him stranded at third. Now we'll see what Sands could do.
Well, Jerry Sands is 0 for 2 and has struck out both times tonight.
He didn't go.
Got a break, I think. We're back and we're up, and it's tough to see from where we're located, but it was close. It could have went either way.
No,
he catches a break.
Take advantage of it.
Right. Yeah, if it's strike one, now you're in the hole, but now he can get a little more selective.
Fouls it off. 1-1 the count. Tie game 2-2. Ryan Rayburn with a double off the wall in deep right field to tie it up. But he's at third with 2 down. Sands in the hole, base hit left field. Scoring as Ryan Rayburn and the Indians take the lead. Oh, Jerry Sands delivers the 2-out RBI single here in the 7th off David Price.
Well, he gets the changeup right there, and it was away enough that he can get on top of it, and it finds the hole between short and third. He got enough swinging room, and a big 2-out base hit for Sands. It gives the Indians a lead. Now they're ahead 3-2. A couple of big hits in the inning. Rayburn, Sands. Well done after the 1-out walk, and Santana put a good at bat up to get the walk.
Not a play. Not surprising, Rick, that it's Rayburn and Sands who do the damage. Rayburn with his 10th career hit off of David Price in 30 career at bats, and Jerry Sands is now 3 for 6 against the left-hander. Almonte off the end of the bat is going to drop in center field for a base hit. Sands in a pull up at second base, and I'll get back there quickly. He had designs on maybe trying to get to third, but Pilar has great speed in center, and he was able to run in and track it down.
Well, it gets inside. It probably breaks the bat, but it's going to fall for a base hit, and he really couldn't go. Even though there were 2 outs, I was watching him. He got a good jump on the ball. I mean, as soon as it hit the bat, he was off and running, so he couldn't do much there. But they continue. They have 3 hits in the inning.
Well, and I think this sellout crowd of 46,643 is somewhat stunned because they haven't seen David Price give up the lead.
Well, and the funny thing, the Indians have had a 2-out run in their last 12 games, and that's been one key that has changed this offense around, is 2-out hitting and a little hitting with runners in scoring position. But how about that 2-out run in 12 straight?
Oh, Rick, how often did we talk about it? The Indians were just starving for those 2-out hits for much of the year with runners in scoring position. They just couldn't, no matter what happened, they couldn't get.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's silent. It's this crowd.
8th consecutive sellout crowd here at the Rogers Center.
All right. We like it. Good ball game going.
Mike Aviles with 2 on and 2 out, trying to do some more damage. Shoots one foul on the right side. Mike grounded into a double play back in the 3rd. Fly to center in the 6th. In tight. 2-1.
Now Price has labored in this inning. I mean, the Indians have done exactly what they had to do.
They answered.
Yeah, they answered after he walked him. He gave him the runner now. 1-run game, you know, you don't want to walk anybody, but it was a walk. But then Rayburn jumped on that first pitch and hit it off the wall in right center.
2-1 delivery. But like you said, Rick, he walked Santana with 1 out, but you're thinking, okay, it's a base runner. But it's hard to string together 2 and 3 hits against this guy in an inning.
Saying, and they've been able to do it.
Done it.
That's right. It is hard to do. They have as many hits in this inning as they had all game in the first 6 innings.
Drive by a run. 2 on, 2 out. And the 2-2 pitch to Aviles. To center. In comes Pilar. And the inning is over. But the Indians roar back here in the 7th with a pair. Ryan Rayburn knocks home one. Jerry gives the Indians the lead. Time now for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Spitzer Auto World.
Grab some friends and catch a game at the popular Corner Bar, open to all fans at Progressive Field. It's the $13 district tickets. It's presented by Sports Time Ohio. And they're a big seller, so get yours today. Tickets available only at Indians.com.
Bottom of the 7th inning. Bottom third of the Toronto order coming up. Russell Martin to lead it off. Danny Salazar delivers, and Martin swing and a miss. Couple of ground ball outs for Martin. One to short, one to third. Good fastball painted the outside corner, and watching the Indians come back and put 2 on the board certainly had to give Danny Salazar a boost.
Well, it sure did, because you think about it. He gave off a leadoff single last inning. Ended up working his double play, got 3 outs on 2 pitches.
Yeah.
After that inning, to get out of it, it sent his offense in there. They give him the lead, and he comes back pumping strikes.
Bullpen is fired up and active. It looks like Brian Shaw. And I think Crockett might still be up from the left side. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed. He struck him out.
Nice slider.
Number 9 for Danny Salazar. So each starter, both Salazar and David Price, with 9 strikeouts tonight.
Well, he expands the zone here, and that's something you can do when you get ahead. You get Martin to swing it at your pitch out of the zone. He can't do anything with it, even if he does hit it, and he gets the first out.
Kevin Pillar has popped up and struck out. And he takes.
There's that little 2-seam fastball. He's letting it sink.
Yeah.
You notice the one he gave a base hit on to Encarnacion stayed on the same plane. I think he slowed his delivery down a little bit, Matt. He's getting great movement.
Yeah, because I haven't seen him throw that many times where he started it off the plate and brought it back over the corner like that.
He's slowing. I think he's slowing things down. It's free and easy. The 2 runs might have helped him.
And then he comes back with a good fastball at 94, and he's quickly ahead 0-2. Couple of shakeoffs, and after the third, Pilar says, "Wait a minute, timeout." Well, reach back for a little something extra and overthrown that one, 1-2. Goes right back. Almost put a hole in that sign behind home plate.
I bet it did.
Watch the mark. Boom.
You know, I don't see how those people can sit back there and not move.
You can see the seams on from the baseball on that sign. Here's the 1-2. Left field near the line, but foul. Rick, I think it was here where we first time we saw the umpire fans.
Oh, it was.
Here in
Yeah,
Toronto?
it wasn't that priceless. Yes, it was in the first row. Yeah.
1-2. Swung out and missed. He strikes him out. Number 10 for Danny Salazar. And that pitch was pure filth.
Yeah, that was the changeup going straight down. And look at it. Bottom falls out. It looks like a strike, and you can see Pilar on the swing, all off balance, way out in front of it. Boy, back-to-back strikeouts for Salazar, 7th career game with 10 or more. Number 5 this year.
We always talk about how a pitcher can make a hitter look bad. Is that an example of what we're talking about?
Yeah, it sure is.
Down low.
So don't let this guy get on. This is the one you want. Right now, Danny's at the end of his line as well. Right at 100. He's thrown 61% strikes.
And he misses 3 straight to Goins.
Well, if he doesn't get this guy, he may be gone. Because you've got lefty Kyle Crockett up.
Yep.
Rivera on deck.
Bullseye. 3-1.
And I'll tell you, if you're Goins here, why not just sort of like try and draw a walk or get him out of the game? Take 2 in a row, make him throw 3.
Instead, he swings, grounds it to Santana, flip to Salazar, and the inning is over. A dynamite effort from Danny Salazar tonight. 10 strikeouts, and the Indians lead it 3-2.
not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Three-two, Tribe on top. We go to the 8th inning here at the Rogers Center. And it's time now for the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. Left-hander Brett Cecil coming on for the Blue Jays. And for Cecil, 48th appearance, 3 wins, 4 losses. Only 41 innings of work in those 47 appearances. He does have 5 saves on the year.
He started out as their closer this year. But the emergence of some younger players certainly they have bumped him out of there.
Over the outside corner for a strike. Upstairs. He's the only lefty in the Toronto pen, but given where the Indians are at in their order, with Kipnis and Brantley both due up, perfect time for John Gibbons to use the left-hander. Oh, nasty breaking ball straight down. The 1-2. And Kipnis down on strikes. As promised earlier, it's Miller time. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Tribe down on the 7th by a run 2-1. Carlos Santana with a 1-out walk, and then Ryan Rayburn shoots one off the wall in right field. Slight bobble by Batista. Santana scores. Rayburn goes headlong into third, and then with 2 outs, Jerry Sands delivers the 2-out RBI knock, putting the Indians ahead. Lindor trying to bunt his way aboard. He gets it by the mound. And then Cecil with a nice job to recover. Wow. He took a nice route to that ball after it initially was by him. He just sort of redirected himself and ran it down, and he's able to throw him out.
It was a really nice play. I thought that ball was by him. And when you look at it, it was. He's got a late break coming off the mound, but boy, those big long strides, able to get to it and glove it and flip it out of there. Nice play by Cecil.
I think you just hit on it. Being 6'3", he looked a lot bigger than 6'3", didn't he?
Those strides looked awfully long to me. I thought it was by him.
So Michael Brantley with 2 down will be the batter. Boston leading New York 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th. Fans in Toronto certainly like to see that. Boston may not have much left to play for this year, but they will love nothing better than to spoil anything for New York.
Do you think?
There's a fly ball to left. Backpedaling is Revere. Inning over. Tribe goes in order. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 3-2 Cleveland. Danny Salazar exits after 7 outstanding innings. He'll turn it over to the Indians bullpen. We're going to turn it over to Alan Jensen after we wrap things up here at the Rogers Center. Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care, comes your way right after the ball game here on Sports Time Ohio. For now, it's up to Brian Shaw, who comes on after Salazar went 7. And Shaw for the 58th time this year.
Well, I don't know if he could do much better than what Danny Salazar did tonight. To this lineup that has been on fire.
Well, Shaw will have Revere, Donaldson, Batista to deal with at least. And a first pitch strike over the outside corner. Revere with a couple of infield singles tonight. He's been the guy that the ball has bounced right for him. Let's put it that way. I want to call him lucky because there's a lot of hard work that goes into this game, and everybody needs a break once in a while. But he had a ball that kind of handcuffed Jason Kipnis in the 3rd, and then in the 5th he had one go off the glove of Danny Salazar. He would score the go-ahead run in the 5th at that time. Santana gobbles it up. He'll go himself. 1 away. Now Danny Salazar
had 10 strikeouts on the night. 8 of them came on this changeup. So a very effective pitch. You can see the movement he had, and I'll tell you, after he got the 2 runs, he really settled in. But that changeup was, I mean, it took off.
It never looks like it does the same thing twice either.
I know it. Well, sometimes it really doesn't.
Sometimes like it goes right, sometimes it goes left, sometimes it's straight down.
The way he holds it, that's just the way it is.
Well, Josh Donaldson steps in. And it's low and away, ball 1. Donaldson ripped the 2-run triple in the 5th that put the Blue Jays ahead at that time. Broke his bat, and Shaw stabs it with the glove and a quick flip to first. 2 down.
Nice play.
Really was.
He got off the mound and had to backhand that ball. Boy, he wanted it. I'm not so sure that Lindor would have gotten there on this turf. So Shaw ends up saving himself a base runner and a base hit. Good play. Watch him. That cut her away, and he jumped over there. Quick feet. Makes the throw to first base. I think it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell how hard that ball was hit.
Yeah, I think
maybe Lindor could have,
I think because the bat was broken, it probably wasn't going as hard as we thought it was. But hey, make the play if you can. Batista looks at a spinner that hung inside. Batista has struck out, grounded out, flied out. And a ground ball foul off his foot. Indians Blue Jays go at it again tomorrow night right here at the Rogers Center. Cody Anderson for Cleveland. Marco Estrada goes for Toronto. Alan Jensen, starter coverage with Indians Live at 6:30. We'll have the first pitch at 7 right here on Sports Time Ohio. Now the 1-1 to Batista. There's Big Cody, who will get the start tomorrow night in the middle game of the series. And Batista shoots it into right field. We saw him do that for years with 2 strikes.
Right.
Just give in and take his hits the other way.
No, this ball was upstairs, so that helped him go that way with it. Anything that's up about belt high and out, you could go ahead. It looks like Tito's going to make the call to bring in his closer. For a 4-out save again.
Ryan Shaw got the first 2 outs, routine ground ball outs. Batista shoots one into right field to keep the inning alive. And Terry Francona will make the call for his closer, Cody Allen. Cody Allen has been Mr. 4-out save 6 times already, most in the league. You have to go back to Steve Carsey 15 years ago. All right, so Cody Allen will go to work here in the 8th with 2 down and a runner at first. And Edwin Encarnacion is the batter. He is 1 for 3 on the night. Three on the left side for Cleveland. They load him up, playing Encarnacion as a dead pull hitter on the infield. Outfield plays him more or less straight away. They bunch the gaps. Rick to left. Brantley cuts it off. Batista will get to third.
Sorry, he had to cut there. He did. He cut it off. There's no way he was going to get Encarnacion at second. Just get it in a hurry and hold them where they're at. They have second and third now, the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position. That's going to give Tulowitzki an opportunity. And he wasted no time, did he?
No.
He got after it in a hurry. So the big boys, they're setting the table. They're looking for somebody else to pick it up tonight.
Tulowitzki is 1 for 3. He doubled in the 4th. And now this sellout crowd is up on its feet.
Missed with the curveball.
Inside 2-0.
Tulowitzki's had 1 at-bat against Cody Allen. It ended up in a strikeout. And now Cody down in the count, 2-0.
Just going to put him on. Oh, against Chris Colabello.
He got Justin Smoke.
Sorry, Justin Smoke. Smoke came on defensively for Colabello. And so the bases are loaded with 2 out. Smoke is a switch hitter, and left-handed, much more power, but batting average suffers almost 100 points different. Though he doesn't get many opportunities to bat right-handed. Only 26 of those on the year. So regardless, Cody Allen is in a jam with the bases loaded and 2 down. And he was late, fouled it back. $46,643, and all but maybe 5 of them are up, stomping, cheering. The 0-1. Good pitch. That was a beauty.
See, that's what happened with Tulowitzki. He started him off with a curveball, he missed, and then he ran that 2-seam fastball and then missed, and then decided to walk him. But now Smoke fouled off the first fastball. He sees the curveball. Now he's down 0-2.
And the pitch. That one took off at 95 miles an hour. Gomes did well to jump up out of his crouch and snare it before it hit the backstop. I imagine the heart rate for Cody is thumping right now. This, for all intents and purposes, could be the ball game. And a 1-2. Breaking ball hung high.
He had him just a little high. Didn't throw it for a strike. You see it stay upstairs. Yes, it did. It had a little tilt to it. Didn't come down like he wanted it to.
Swung on and missed. He struck him out to get out of the inning. Cody Allen, fans smoke. Blue Jays leave them loaded. And we'll go to the 9th. 3-2 Cleveland. Thanks a lot, Al and Jensen. That certainly was a thrilling 8th inning. And now we go to the 9th, with the Indians still leading it by a run. Ageless LaTroy Hawkins.
42 years old.
He came with Troy Tulowitzki in that trade between the Rockies and the Blue Jays back on July 27th. How old is LaTroy Hawkins? The guy that taught him how to throw the splitter was Dick Such.
Yeah, he came up with Minnesota. Yes.
I haven't heard his name in a long time.
Yeah, he came up with Minnesota. I remember LaTroy back there, and he's been a nice addition for the young kids coming out of that Toronto bullpen.
How about that? He strikes out Santana. Did it quickly.
Well, a little comeback fastball. He gets the call. Martin holds the picture. He gets out number 1.
Jose Ramirez going to pinch hit here for Ryan Rayburn, who was DHing tonight. Sends one to left field. Back goes Revere. Makes the catch. 2 down. Looking back at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Price right or wrong? Well, he pitched well. The Indians got to him, though. Got him for 3 runs. And he's on the hook for the loss. And Danny Salazar was just nothing short of brilliant tonight. LaTroy Hawkins, though, is one of those guys that he really should be celebrated, not for his longevity, but for the fact that he made it. Not many guys from Gary, Indiana, get out of there. It's a tough, tough area.
He's doing nothing but throwing strikes, I'll tell you that.
You're not kidding.
6 out of 7.
Oh, 2 offering. And Gomes shoots it into right field.
Didn't get it out far enough. That ball came back on the plate. Gomes stayed on it.
Now we'll get a pinch hitter for Jerry Sands. And it's Lonnie Chisenhall. And Chisenhall takes a strike. In the 24 games that Lonnie Chisenhall has played since getting called back up from the AAA club, he's hit .397. And in those 24 games, 14 runs batted in and 11 runs scored. He's down 0-2 to Hawkins with Gomes at first and 2 down in the 9th. Shoots one off the glove of the third baseman Donaldson. And Gomes will race to third. He's in there safely. Ball goes into the dugout. Indians will get another run. Or will they?
Yeah.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
That one in the dugout. Dead ball. He gets first, and I think Chiz will get third.
So Gomes comes home to score on the overthrow by Donaldson, and Chisenhall will go to third base.
Give him the single, and Gomes was going to third because the Donaldson was going after that ball. He goes off his glove. He's going to track it down, and LaTroy Hawkins has to cover third. The throw's going to be high. It gets over his head and into the dugout, and the Indians tack on an insurance run. How about that? That was a nice try by Hawkins, a pitcher.
I'll tell you what, he gets up.
Yeah, he does.
42 years old, and he's still got hops.
Well, he got hops. The Indians got a run. It's a 4-2 game.
So a single and an error on Donaldson. And now Abraham Almonte, who has 2 hits on the night. And a foul back.
Boy, how about that? 2 outs, nobody on, 0-2 count.
What did we say before? Inches.
Yeah, game of inches,
Mere
absolutely.
Inches. That time it worked for the Indians instead of against them. So this has been, and it's not over, but this has been a whale of a game to watch because you're seeing 2 teams who have a lot to play for, and they're playing like it. I mean, this game has had a little more intensity than your typical August 31st affair.
You said it right off the top. Both these teams they've won 8 out of their last 10. So they're going at it. Cleveland's been playing good. You knew it was going to be a pitcher's game. Price and Salazar, and they were able to get 3 from Price. And you got to win that game.
Well, the Indians will take a 4-2 lead to the bottom of the 9th in Toronto. Time now for our Paddlebrine Chevrolet play of the game. Let's go back to the 8th inning, Rick. Bases loaded, 2 outs, Justin Smoke.
The key right there, getting strike 1, and then he throws the hook. He couldn't pull the trigger, so you knew he was going to come back to it. He tried to overthrew that fastball, missed with the curveball there, but comes back with a good one, going inside, gets the strikeout. That was the pitch he wanted to get him out with, and he certainly did. He settled down, threw a great one, got himself out of the 8th. Now they also put one on the board, so now he has a 2-run lead, so he can be a little more aggressive here at the bottom part of the lineup.
Lonnie Chisenhall, who pinch hit for Jerry Sands and came up with a big hit in the top of the inning, stays in the game in right field. Russell Martin will lead it off for Toronto, and Cody Allen's curveball is low, ball 1. Martin 0 for 3 tonight. He has grounded out twice and has struck out once. Tell you what else, Rick. Now that great stretch the Indians had, all the 10 hits in consecutive games at home, and even against a great pitcher like Price, they have 8 hits on the board tonight.
They keep coming. They keep coming at you.
In fact, both teams have 8 hits tonight, but the Indians lead at 4-2. Martin swings and fouls it out of play. David Price went 7, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits, walked 1, struck out 9. Danny Salazar went 7, gave up 2 runs on 6 hits, walked 1, struck out 10. Almost identical lines for the 2 starters here tonight.
They both threw the ball very well.
Got in on him, but it's back out of play.
Now that first out is the big one here in the 9th inning, as always.
I'm not going to compare Cody Allen to Mariano Rivera, but I just was thinking, this is the 7th time he's trying to get a multi-inning save. How many times did Joe Torre go to Rivera in the 8th inning?
Well, when you need a game, you got to go with your closer.
Go with your best,
well,
right?
You know what? That's why they stretched Salazar to go 7. He settled down, and they have Sean Allen, the 2 you can really count on. You know, coming out of that pen. Other than that, I don't know if, you know, you're not going to match up in that 7th inning. When you have a good team, and we've seen it here before, where you have a 7th, 8th, and 9th. They don't have that 7th inning pitcher that they can rely on and count on a daily basis. So if your starters, see, that's what's the key for this team, is our starters to go 7, and then they can lock it down.
Cody's 2-2 pitch. Right field. Chisenhall makes the catch. 1 away. I'm sure the only look, there's inherent risk in every move a manager makes with regards to that bullpen, because each move, there's sort of a domino effect that potentially could happen. And I know with Terry, when he goes to Cody Allen in the 8th inning, his only worry is if it takes him a lot of pitches, now do you lose him for the next day?
You very well could.
Or do you lose him for a day, down the road somewhere?
You will, of course you will. But you have to win that game now, today. He doesn't look for tomorrow. He doesn't worry about it. You got to win the game today, and that's the way you have to manage, I believe. You know, this is the first game of a long trip. You've got to get that first one under your belt. And you had Salazar, went out and earned it and worked for it. So this is the one you need.
Off the end of the bat, Kipnis can't get it. And that's a base hit for Kevin Pillar, and it will bring the tying run to the plate.
There's the breaking ball, and Pillar just looking to slap it that way, and he does. Gets it over the head of Kipnis into center field. So a 1-out single.
Well, you've got Ryan Goins and then Ben Revere. After that, you got the big boys. Goins 1 for 3 on the night. He went around. Strike 1. Down low, nicely blocked by Gomes.
You can't afford, if you're Pillar, to try and steal a base here. You have 1 out, you only have 2 remaining, you're down 2 runs.
Yeah, and
only way you could go is if you're absolute 100%, and they're not.
Bullseye.
1 and 2 the count. Waiting on deck is Ben Revere. breaking ball in the dirt, but Goins
doing a really nice job of keeping that ball close to him in the dirt. I mean, really a good job. Right into the glove. How about that?
Cody Allen ready with a 2-2. Up and away. Full count. This sellout crowd sensing an opportunity here. And the payoff pitch is swung on good for left field. Base hit. Brantley cuts it off.
That's a pretty good job by Goins of putting that ball in play off the end of the bat, keeping it fair, so they get back-to-back one-out hits. That was a good pitch. And I'll tell you, that's a pretty darn good job of hitting with a 3-2 count.
Now Blue Jays
serves it out there, so now they've got the tying runs aboard.
First and second, one out. Ben Revere will be the batter. Josh Donaldson on deck. Revere only playing his 27th game with Toronto, and has not grounded into a double play with the Blue Jays. Swings at the fastball and fouls it back. The 0-1. Curveball and a dandy. Drops in for strike two.
Good curveball there. Revere gives up on it, drops into the strike zone.
Well, the count is 0-2. He pops him up. Is it playable? Aviles to the seats. He's got it. 2 down. Well, it all comes down to this. Josh Donaldson will be the batter, and Cody Allen will have to stare down one of the best in the league, perhaps the leading candidate to win the MVP this year in the American League.
He drove in the only 2 runs for the Jays tonight back in the 5th inning. So Gomes and Allen talking about it. They'll get their game plan ready and let's go to work.
Josh Donaldson leading the league in RBIs, runs scored, and extra base hits. The last man to do that was Hank Aaron.
Wow.
Hang on to your hats. Here we go. Fastball and a swing and a miss. Pilar, the runner at second base, tying run Goins at first. Bottom of the ninth, 0-1 pitch. He checked on a ball that was high, just above the zone, 1-1. Breaking ball and a beauty. Right down Broadway. Donaldson couldn't pull the trigger, and now the count is 1-2.
Because the bite to that breaking ball is so sharp that you just don't see it coming down. He wanted to commit to it, but and then all of a sudden it's a tight breaking curveball, man. When he throws it and it's a strike, it's tough.
The 1-2. Now right back.
He's had to fight that one off. Right now he's caught in between.
What a thriller. A white knuckler to the bitter end here in Toronto in the opener of a critical 3-game series.
Yes.
Did he go? He did, and the game is over. Cody Allen nails it down for the Indians, who've equaled their season best 6 straight wins with a 4-2 victory over the Blue Jays in the series opener. In addition to their 6 straight wins, they have now won 29 games and come from behind fashion, Rick, including 11 of those since the All-Star break. So the Indians were behind the Blue Jays 2-1. And they came back with 2 in the 7th. They add 1 in the 9th, and they hold on for a 4-2 victory as Cody Allen notches his 7th multi-inning save of the season.
I'll tell you, there's something to be said for that run in the 9th inning by the Indians. Here's the sequence.